ما هو تاريخ السينما الهندية وما هي أبرز المشاكل والتحديات التي تواجه هذه الصناعة وما هي أبرز نقاط القوة لدى صانعي هذه الأفلام؟ السينما الهندية من داخل بوليوود. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. هي احتفال متناغم من الألوان والموسيقى الحماسية يدا بيد مع قصة درامية أو كوميدية أو حتى مأساوية. هي السينما الهندية المعروفة ببوليوود عالمياً. مع حلول القرن العشرين أصبحت السينما الهندية تضاهي بصناعتها السينما في هوليوود والصين. مع نهاية عام 2010 أشارت التقارير إلى أن إنتاج الهند من الأفلام سنوياً جعلها تتربع على المرتبة الأولى، تليها هوليوود، ما جعل سوق الأفلام الهندية يستقطب كبرى شركات الإنتاج الأمريكية كشركة والت ديزني بيكتشرز وورنر بروس و20th Century Fox وسوني بيكتشرز. أما جمهور بوليوود فتوزع عبر جنوب شرق آسيا وجنوبها والشرق الأوسط وأوروبا الشرقية وروسيا وحتى المملكة المتحدة وأمريكا. الممثلة ومصممة الأزياء ومنتجة الأفلام الحائزة عدة جوائز في بوليوود إيلاهي هيبتولا. كيف ترى تطور صناعة الأفلام في بوليوود؟ ولماذا حققت هذه الصناعة كل هذا النجاح الكبير؟ وكيف ترى هيبتولا الحائزة إجازة في القانون ومؤسسة دار ثقافية تدعى لا مكان التي تعنى بالفنون والأدب والمسرح والحوار؟ كيف ترى واقع هذه الصناعة اليوم مع كل ما يبعدها عن نفسها الهندي وثقافتها؟ وما التحديات التي تواجه المرأة الهندية في هذا المجال؟ Indian film actress, producer and costume designer إيلاهي هيبتولا, welcome to the Inside from Al Mayadeen.
Adab. Thank you.
Now, I want you to start with a snapshot look. I know that people know what Bollywood is. It's more than famous across the Middle East, to not just around this area of the world. But I want you to give us a snapshot look at the history of the Indian cinema.
Indian cinema is a very, very wide term. We have kind of taken it up as a thing as Indian equals to Hindi cinema. It's not. Hindi is a part of the Indian cinema, right?
Hindi, it predates the Bollywood, you know.
Hindi predates Bollywood, but so because of course of the silent era and stuff like that. But there are other regional languages which are just as popular, just as big and just as successful. So we have this constant thing about Indian cinema only equals to Hindi cinema or Bollywood, which is not really fair. And you know, we had this issue recently at the Indian Film Festival in Kerala where a South Indian superstar spoke against it and said 100 years of cinema cannot just be the Indian contribution, I mean just the Hindi film contribution.
Right.
It has to be Indian cinema. But Indian cinema, if you take Bollywood part of it, it started, as you know, 100 years ago. It started with the silent era. It started with production houses that were nearly like studios, who had their own staff that included directors, actors, playwrights, and you know, so they were paid a monthly salary. They were not paid per movie. They were not paid as how successful as stars they were, but they were literally the studio system as we know. And then now it grew from strength to strength. And now Bollywood is a term that the Hindi cinema has taken over to match up with probably Hollywood.
That's the name. It's a bit synonymous to the Hollywood.
Yes. So
but the B goes to Bombay.
Bombay, absolutely. Right. So the B went to Bombay. So then, you know, it started like the Telugu cinema in South India has become Tollywood. And the Malayalam cinema has become Mollywood. So, you know, this keeps going on with the whole thing to differentiate and to accentuate which regional part they're talking about.
How can you describe, Ilahi, the progress of the filmmaking in Bollywood?
Well, progress in Bollywood is like a progress in any other industry. As the evolution you know, takes place in any other industry. It evolves from strength to strength. So it's access to more technology, access to more innovations, access to more money, and that's the progress happens. So at the heart of it all, it's the same. It's a story told by actors, renditioned with music, and it's put out in front of an audience.
We can realize here that most of the Indian movie are musicals.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. See, music plays a very big role in the Indian culture as such, right? So we have music that was taken part in, even when people died. You sang bhajans. When people were happy, they sang a certain kind of song. So music was never removed from the life of people. So when you were putting that up in a magnified version, or probably in a more exaggerated version, music had to be a part of it. It couldn't, so musical is not a genre in Indian cinema. Music is a part of it, and not just background scores.
It's part and parcel of the film industry in India.
Yeah, yeah.
The colors too.
That's India. I mean, I think, you know, it's a louder version of what India is.
Right.
So this is India, the louder version is what the films show.
But do the films and the film industry represent what the people really are?
Not all films. Not all films. See, as an industry, we have different segments to cater to, right? In terms of entertainment, in terms of their voice, in terms of even their perception of the thing. So there are different filmmakers who make different kinds of films. So we have the blockbusters, which are more entertainment. You know, we have this common phrase in India where they say, oh, it's a great movie, just leave your brains behind at home.
Okay.
And I could never understand why one would leave a vital part of their body behind at home, right? So it's like senseless entertainment, as they call it. Well, one of the arguments to that kind of cinema is that daily life in India is not easy. It's a struggle. It's not, it is a third world country, right? I mean, we struggle to make ends meet. So when you go for entertainment, they don't want to be taxed into thinking. They want to have something which is completely over the top, funny, even if it's comic, even if it's drama. They wring your emotions out. I mean, you know, people are dying riddled with 30 bullets and they're still giving their dialogue. So it's not real cinema.
What are the real issues that these movies covered?
In India, they're overwhelming. But sometimes they covered the farmers' movement, it covered the suicide things that the farmers went through. Of course, poverty was a big issue in India, and it still continues to be. It was, you know, female equality, I mean, gender equality. There was...
Here, tell us, please, how well are the movies in India, in Bollywood, for example, representative of the women of India?
You know,
is this what the women are about in India, in the Indian society?
No, they are not, but we just can't
You are well known, all of you, for your Indian beauty. So
yes,
when she's a beauty, we say she's Indian.
Thank you. We are the exotic brown, and we hopefully wear it with pride. But, you know, see, you can't target Bollywood as just a film industry that is, let's say, you know, unhappily doing this, or the fact is they're to be blamed. Even if you look at Hollywood, they're certain kinds of films. So like if you have superwomen, or you have women where they just... But okay, no, let me rephrase. In India, women are mainly more an object of desire. They're there as a thing of beauty. There's a thing to aid the hero. They're there as a mother. They're there as a figure of a sister. Yes, all that goes. But we do have films where the woman is the protagonist. She is... In fact, if you see all our films, the ones that I have produced with Nagesh Kukunur, all our women are strong characters. So even from Hyderabad Blues, where she was a doctor, and she stood up to fight against the guy just because he was a non-resident Indian. And she's like, I'm not going to marry Hyderabad Blues. Yeah, the first one.
The first one.
You know, she was like, I'm not going to take this lying down. You can't come from America and want to marry me. You know, so there are characters. So there are movies throughout, like Mother India was a film, Mughal-e-Azam was a film, where, you know, stories were told from the woman's point of view, or she was a strong enough character, not just one who was the helpless babe or the
Mother
damsel.
India was widely watched in the Middle East, and everyone talks about Mother India.
It was a fabulous film.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, and it stands the test of time. I mean,
yes.
Even if you watch it today, you know, there's nothing there are no cringe moments, so it's not like an outdated film or concept.
Right.
So,
Élahi, how long have you been in the industry?
I have been for 14 years. I've been producing for 14 years now.
Right. Producing and acting?
So acting comes as a part of it. I went into acting by... Well, actually, I went into production not by choice, but I was cast as one of the actors of Hyderabad Blues, and I thought, why not? Let me just, you know, do it for the lark. And from the first day of rehearsal, I knew that there's nothing else I wanted to do. and nowhere else I wanted to be. So I sold my business. I formed a partnership with Nagesh, and I started producing with him.
And we forgot to tell our audience that you're also a lawyer.
Yes, I'm a
yes.
well, lawyer by qualification, not
Yes.
exactly by practice, but
Yes.
yes, I studied law. That was the thing to do after school, and I wanted
And
always
how
to
did
be
you
a
move
lawyer.
on from the law to the movies?
So after I finished law, I realized I didn't want to be a lawyer, and I was working in fashion industry then in Bombay. So I opened my own fashion store in Hyderabad,
Yes.
and that's what I was doing. And I got married in between, and I stopped being married also. I got divorced also. And then Nagesh came down to make Hyderabad Blues, and he was looking for people to help him do the project because, you know, we were Hyderabadis and we thought we'll help him. And then he offered me the role, so I auditioned. And I was like, you know, let's do it. And we did it. And I didn't enjoy acting as much as I enjoyed the production part of it because Nagesh was doing everything himself. I started helping him.
He was the director.
He was the
and-
director, producer, lead actor, financer. He was everything for that film. I mean, it was a one-man show, literally.
Let me here ask you something about, you truly believe in the genre of clean movies with a simple message.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, see, like I told you, the films that we've grown up watching have been what we term the masala films. Masala as in it's got all the ingredients in it, right? It's got romance, it's got passion, it's got pathos, it's got tragedy, it's got music, it's got everything. And we grew up looking at those films as larger than life. No one we knew around were like that, right? So we didn't have a father who was like that. We didn't have a brother who was like that. We didn't have a neighbor or remotely removed cousin who was like that, who would take up a gun and kill the entire Senate or the Parliament. And, you know, they were just larger than life. And then we started making films, like when Hyderabad Blues was a story that I could relate to. I mean, I had a friend who could be the hero.
It's not Hatke movies.
It's not Hatke movies, no.
Hatke, which is away from the conventional.
Well, there is no convention. So Hatke we use for
Offbeat.
everything.
Yeah.
Hatke we use, like, you know, we say things like, oh, I'm a Hatke actress in this film, I'm wearing no makeup. It means nothing. It really means nothing. But so this was about life. It was about life as you saw it. It was about life that you could relate to. And the movie did well. So there was an audience out there, you know, looking. And the message part of it, Zainab, is really a bonus. You know, I think we make movies to entertain. We as people believe in certain values and we see those through our movies.
Anyways, your movies are acclaimed for their fine narration and for their storyline.
Yes, and that all hats off to my director who writes their own stories. But like, for example, you know, see, we're very careful. We're careful as individuals, which we want to speak our politics through our film. But it's not like a jingoistic thing, or it's not like, they don't come in to see what we are about. They come in to see the film and they take away from it. So one of our very popular films was a film called Iqbal. It was about this deaf-mute cricketer.
Yes, please tell us. It was a great hit.
It was a huge hit. And it was a deaf-mute cricketer who was Muslim, which is of the minority community in India. And the brief that Nagesh, our director, gave us was within 10 minutes, the audience should not feel or attach themselves to the hero, either on his, you know, the fact that he was a special child or the fact that he was a Muslim. It is about this boy making it to be a cricketer. So that was the brief. And so we didn't play upon his, you know, special lack of speech or something, or we didn't play upon the fact that he was Muslim. No, this was just a boy who was going to be a cricketer against all odds. And in that scene, in that film, there was a scene where the boy's mother, who wants him to be a cricketer, as opposed to the boy's father, who doesn't want him to be a cricketer, lies and takes the boy out for the selection. And when they come back, the father questions them, and the mother says the lie, and the father slaps her. And I remember reading the scene and being appalled and telling Nagesh that no, we can't have the scene where the husband just slaps the wife and there is no repercussion. There is no threat from the wife leaving him, or there's no reaction of the wife saying that, you know, you cannot slap me. And Nagesh had said that, you know, domestic violence is a part of India.
Right.
I understand that.
And this is a very good message.
Yes, but the point is that even though I understand the reality of the situation, we as filmmakers cannot endorse it. We can't make it okay. We can't show it in the film and tell everybody that that's how it happens. Here is a time that you can talk about it and say this is not okay. So either the woman has to retaliate or he doesn't slap her. So it was changed. He raises his hand. It was great because Nagesh would listen to me. So, you know, he raises his hand on the boy, not on the wife, and says, don't tempt me to hit you because I've promised never to hit you.
Right.
And then he puts his hand down. So, you know, so these little things make a difference in the movie,
Don't
in the
tell
message
us more
part.
because those who didn't watch Iqbal, they have to go and watch it and
Yes,
buy the
I
DVD.
hope so.
Yes.
I hope so.
Eli, we're going to stop now for a short break and then we'll be
Okay.
back to focus more on certain challenges inside Bollywood. The Inside will be back after the break from Inside Bollywood. Stay tuned. الممثلة والمنتجة الهندية إيلاهي هيبتولا أين ترى أكبر جمهور لبوليوود خارج الهند؟ وما هي أبرز أسباب رواج هذه الأفلام في أوروبا وشهرتها الواسعة اليوم؟ وما الذي يجعلها خارجة عن المألوف؟
You know, typically it would be the Middle East, someone who's closer to the culture of the whole thing. But strangely enough, we have countries like Germany, we have countries like Mauritius, we have countries like South Africa. They are very, very big markets. Earlier it was just the Middle East. So Dubai would actually release a movie on a Thursday, where the norm in India is to release a movie on Friday. So we'd get a day's heads up on our stuff.
Especially
and even
in the UAE.
In the UAE.
Right.
You know, so they would release our videos for us, and our videos always had translations in Arabic. But now you see a lot of the Western audience catching up on Bollywood.
Like
so
the
Shah Rukh
UK
Khan,
market
UK
also.
or Germany, which doesn't speak a word of our language or understands its sentiments. I mean, they are Europe for all practical purposes. So they wouldn't even be in the same plane as our emotions go. But Shah Rukh Khan is huge.
Yes, why do you think this is the situation?
You know, I don't know. I think something about the timing or something about the kind of movies that we make have captured the imagination of the world. So like about 7 to 8 years ago, or maybe a little earlier, we had the movies that were made specifically for a market outside of India. But they were mainly the Indians outside of India. Okay, so for example, you have films that show India in the best of light, right? So you have a musical made on family values and dances around weddings and stuff like that. So, you know, it was a culture where an Indian growing up outside of India, let's say America, who only came to India for a family wedding or for a festival or something like that, right? Would take pride in cinema like that to show his counterpart in America and saying, come, let me show you my culture.
Something like Bride and Prejudice.
Something like Bride and Prejudice, something like the Karan Johar films, which were fabulous, right? They were bright, they were beautiful, they had pretty people, they had clean storylines, there were no villains in the film, other than a father not letting the daughter marry his son, you know, and stuff like that. So it was a very wholesome, entertaining lot, and we enjoyed them as well. There was no blood, there was no gore, there was nothing that you had, you know, a problem with. You saw India the way you wanted to show India to your friends. And we kind of did this tourist films for some time.
It could be somehow promoting the tourism in India. Like
could be, absolutely.
Yeah, we had this fashion of the Turkish, you know, soap operas, you know, flowing into the Middle East market, and people all of a sudden want to go to Turkey and try to see all this thing that is shown in these soap operas. Ilahi here, I want you to focus on one issue. Why is Bollywood so big now, and what makes its movies so unusual?
I'll take the first part, which is what makes Bollywood so big now. You see, at some point, a specific country captures the imagination. India is big now in every field. If you talk about economics, if you talk about the money, if you talk about markets, if you talk about this whole influx of the foreign investment and all coming in, India is right now the center of everyone's eyes for some reason, right? So they say China, India, the investments are flowing in, people are recognizing. So of course a part of it, which is huge, is Bollywood. And that has never been out of the psyche of the world. So we had Satyajit Ray, who won Oscars years ago when he was a part of Indian cinema. So we recognize India, plus it's part of the colonized world. We're an English-speaking nation. We have, you know, natural beauty and reserves. So India's been on the map, so to speak. But why Bollywood has taken it off in a big way is the fact that I think people are looking forward to escapist fare right now. They're looking forward to the fact that they're being entertained by songs, they're being entertained by emotions that are
colours,
larger than life. Absolutely,
yes.
by the colors,
by the beauty of who is in the movie.
Well, so we had, some 10, 12 years ago, we had all 3 crowns being won by India, right? The Miss World, the Miss India,
Universe,
Miss Universe,
yes.
Miss World, Miss Asia Pacific, were all Indians. So it has kind of been there.
Attractive.
Exactly,
yes.
and they relate to us because we're also an English-speaking nation. We're a cricket-playing nation, so we're kind of positioned and poised in a very unique place where we can offer a lot, we can take in a lot.
Maybe that's why also it became so much popular in the UK, because perhaps they relate to you in one way or another.
Also in UK has a huge number of Indians over there.
Right.
UK, even as native English, have had their family be in India for a long time. I mean, they're connected, they ruled over us for 125 years, right? So they are connected to the thing. But what is actually strange for me or pleasantly wonderful for me is the fact that other markets that don't speak the language, who have probably never been to India, are so receptive to our kind of cinema. And we are not aping the West. So we are not making a Superman in Hindi, right? We're not making a Spider-Man. We are making our fare. We're making our emotions that we know. We're making our relationships that we know.
You're not being imitative. You're not trying to imitate what is in the West, but you're trying to reflect upon what is here
absolutely,
in India.
Absolutely.
Now, do you think that this is a good definition of Indian movies, that they are unusual?
They are unusual in a way. They're unusual because we have songs as a part of the narrative. There were times in the olden days, now songs have become more of music videos where, the dance moves are more popular and, a song catches the imagination of the person and then they're dancing to the tunes. I mean, I'll come to that story later, but earlier, songs were a scene set in verse. So there'd be a scene where they're talking about something and they cut to a song and the words of the song was a scene. Told us that now the boyfriend girlfriend were fighting, or they were trying to make up, or they were trying to, the guy was sending a message out.
So it's in the storyline.
Absolutely.
It's not just a song.
No, it wasn't just put in for effect. But coming to think how big Bollywood is and how much their songs are appreciated, though they find it unnatural that 2 sane people walking in a park should suddenly burst into a song that both know and know the tune of and start dancing to steps. I was in Turkey a few years ago in Istanbul, and we'd gone to a completely Turkish evening where they laid out this 7-course meal of Turkish food and they had entertainment and stuff like that, and then they were out, the stage opened up and performances started. And one of the performances, I heard this beat start and I looked at my friend who was with me from India, Varsha, and I was like, this sounds familiar. And without warning, the Turkish drag queens started dancing to a song from a Shah Rukh Khan film. And suddenly there was this dola re dol. I'm thinking, this is a Bollywood song. And the entire packed hall of, different separate nationalities were dancing to that song. This shows,
it's very popular.
This shows how
popular you are.
Absolutely.
Now, can you tell us a bit about the challenges that you face in this industry in Bollywood?
See, my challenges...
And what challenges that you face, you in particular as a Muslim woman working in this industry? We have 2 parts now.
We have 2 parts now. So I'll come to the kind of intertwined. So anyway, I'll come to the first part, which is challenges that I face. Now, I'm not a regular Bollywood producer, so I don't do Bollywood movies that have huge stars in it, because then that would be easier to raise money for. I'm an indie producer, as the world understands. We make independent cinema. We make cinema which has a limited release. Trying to market a smaller film is far more of a headache than doing a big film, because big film...
Right, because it's already big.
Absolutely. So those are the challenges I face. Coming back to the second part of the question about me being a Muslim woman, strangely in India, where the minority is a clear-cut minority, and though they are being victimized now in the last 7 to 10 years with this whole...
At various areas.
At various areas. The 2 areas in India which purely runs on meritocracy is Bollywood and cricket. And strangely, those are the only 2 things that bind the country together. It's not culturally bound, it's not bound by religion, of course, it's not bound by language, it's not bound by the color of our skin or even the appearance, because if you go to the northeast, they have tinier eyes. If you come to South India, they are darker in their skin. The only thing that binds this country together is Bollywood and cricket. And both of them run on meritocracy. So it's not about being a Muslim. I have never had a problem being a Muslim. I've had a problem being a woman at times, because it's gender specific, and it's a bit of a patriarchal society that India is.
And how do you get through being a woman in this industry and as a producer where you have to supervise everything in the movie?
So in the beginning years, well, now I'm a very well-established producer, so even though they talk to me on the phone and I finally go in for a meeting, the look in their eyes is like, where's your mom? You know, why have you walked in, kind of thing, because I'm not always dressed in a sari and wearing my jeans and stuff. So I'm like, and there are times when I have to stop them midway and say, you know, I'm not as young as I look, so please can we take this out of the way and then get professional about the whole thing. But earlier, for the first couple of films, because Nagesh and I are a team and Nagesh is a man and I'm a woman, people naturally went to him with problems. People naturally went to him with suggestions. And he was very clear-cut in saying that, no, she's the one who handles that. I'm the director. She's the one who you need to address this too. So then we started doing this little scheme where we would hire someone only to be fired on the third day. So I would hire him to say that I will publicly fire you. I will pay you this much money, but this is your role. You will be the scapegoat that publicly on set I will yell at you and I will let you go. So then people knew who were the pants. So they would come to the set and I would lose my temper and I would say, out. You are, just get out of my set right now and I will not see you tomorrow.
And do you stick to it?
No, by third film then everyone knew that, you know, I meant it and I would do it even without paying the guy.
You have the heart of a mother, yes, sweetheart. Just allow me one last question, if I may. Where do you see this industry going? The Bollywood filmmaking industry.
It will be the biggest. See, the thing is, we are...
Is it going to be anywhere bigger than Hollywood?
No.
Are we here to compare it with other film industries, or it has its own line?
See, it has its own line. Of course, the comparisons will come up because it is, I mean, you'd compare any thing that it is similar, right? So a movie making country will be compared to another movie making country within that sphere. So we will compare ourselves to Hollywood only because of the sheer number of films that we put out. Not because of technology, not because of markets, because Hollywood still has a much wider market than India.
Around 800 movies a year?
India's, Bollywood, yes, absolutely. So, you know, it is a big number. Considering that the markets are much smaller, it's not as pervasive, as invasive as Hollywood is. But I don't think we'll ever get there, you know, because we are still catering to people who enjoy Hindi cinema. So like, for example, even though we talk about the markets that are bigger and the markets available to Bollywood cinema, you know, it is an interesting fact that no movie is a huge hit only outside of India. It has already been a hit in India. So the biggest market is still India. The biggest market are still Indians outside of India. Right. It is not someone who doesn't understand our culture. So right now they are happy with us. So I think we'll play the field, we'll enjoy the mood and the momentum, and you know, we'll go on with it. But I don't know how long this phase is going to last, but we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
We'll enjoy it, of course, while it lasts.
Yes.
Inshallah. Indian film actress, producer, and costume designer, إيلاهي هيبتولا. I don't know why they call you Hypertula.
It's a name I coined myself because I'm always so hyper.
So hyper.
I mean, I have no patience. So it's like, you know, I want things to be done immediately, instant gratification. And I'm like as they say, itti sabar nahi hai. So
yes.
no sabar whatsoever.
In the film production industry. And we are happy to host you on The Insight from Al Mayadeen.
Shukriya. Thank you so much for making me a part of it.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد وقضية جديدة، ودائما من الداخل. من حسين نصار، بسام خطار، زينب الصفار من حيدر أباد في الهند. إلى اللقاء.